And so, ladies and gentlemen, because the Supreme Court made the decision that it doesn't matter if you are from a foreign country, if both your parents are not American citizens, none of that matters. You have no allegiance to this country. You don't really care about defending the Constitution. You have no loyalty to this land. None of that matters. All that matters is if you drop a baby off on U.S. soil, American citizenship and all the grand luxuries that come along with it, ladies and gentlemen. So in today's video, we got the DOJ making a announcement that they're going to crack down on birthright citizenship tourism. And let's get into the reactions and the response from the left as well as the right. As always, smash that thumbs up button if you are enjoying the content. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel to stay locked in with all future content. And so let's start right here.
Justice Department putting new emphasis on prosecuting birth tourism schemes. Those are the kind of scams that exploit loopholes in immigration law. This coming after the Supreme Court ruling on birthright citizenship. The DHS Secretary Mullen addressing that a bit earlier on Fox and Friends, saying that the president is making the right call on this issue. Here he is.
I think the president was spot on this, and the court is absolutely dead wrong on this situation. This is truly a national security risk that we're having, but we're re-looking at it. All of us together are working and saying, okay, how can we protect America and still at the same time, unfortunately, figure out how to work with the court in this situation.
From a Department of Justice standpoint, it's obviously focusing our prosecutors and our law enforcement partners on birthing tourism, and it's a booming industry, and it will continue. It will continue given the Supreme Court's decision yesterday. There's other things that DHS can do and the federal government can do in the visa process and the application process to try to minimize or limit the opportunity of folks coming here to not to visit and not to do what they're saying they're doing on their tourist visa, but just to have a baby that can then be a U.S. citizen. So from our standpoint, it's focusing on what is a problem. So everybody should agree that it's a violation of our laws if your intent in coming here, if you're pregnant, is to have a child to become a United States citizen because of our now laws. And so what we have to do as the Department of Justice is make sure our agents, our HSI agents that we work with and the FBI are focused on stopping that. And that's what we're going to do.
I mean, wherever there's a loophole, individuals are always going to look to try and capitalize on it and take advantage of a system that has that loophole. I mean, the reality is Americans all the time try to take advantage of the system and exploit loopholes in order to get benefits, in order to try and, game the system. So is it really a shocker? Are we really surprised that you would have people who come from foreign nations that then want to also exploit the system to their benefit? No, it's not. I mean, the difference is that just comes with a much greater risk because of where these people could be coming from and what their intentions could ultimately be by being able to have a child here in America, bring them back to their native country, and then raise that child up to have whatever type of mindset towards America that could end up obviously coming back and being harmful to the country. And that brings us to Stephen Miller of Fox News discussing this and the bigger picture of it all. Check it out.
President Trump has sealed the border shut. We've stopped all new illegal immigration, and we have record deportations out of the country. But there's a deeper point that you raised that's really important, Jesse. In most countries, normal countries, you can come as a tourist, as a visitor, as a temporary worker, etc. And the country's just making the decision to let you come here for a little bit and then go home. But if you have birthright citizenship, it means if a person comes here 9 months pregnant to go look around at some things, in a couple of weeks, that is the mother of a lifetime American citizen and a direct line into American cash and welfare for the rest of that child's life.
And so let's break this down, because what he's explaining is that women can enter this country legally with the intent of having a baby here, understanding that that child will have all the rights, all the privileges, all the benefits of a U.S. citizen. Access to taxpayer dollars through social programs. And so we're not even talking about situations where people are entering through the southern border or whatever, and they're entering this country illegally and trying to, drop an anchor baby to be able to have access and a reason to stay here. And that was a major problem too, obviously more so under the Biden administration and previous administrations. But now that Trump has been able to secure the border, the southern border specifically, it's a non-story. The border is not even a story anymore as far as things go because it's so secure and you don't really have anybody able to enter without coming through legal means. And so now compare that to what they're saying on MS Now. Check it out.
Mara, your takeaway as you look at the majority decision as it was written, effectively saying that we uphold the promise of the Constitution, a conservative Chief Justice writing that. What do you see in all this?
Well, Anthony said a moment ago that he thinks this isn't over. And as relieved as I was to see the decision yesterday, knowing that we are only one vote potentially away, so that 5-4 split, where only 5 of the justices upheld birthright citizenship based on the 14th Amendment, we are only one vote away, potentially, from having birthright citizenship that was enshrined by the Civil War and by freed slaves and Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln and President Grant. That effort could be overturned. And I wonder what is next and what you know about the movement on the other side, the conservative movement, which unfortunately, sadly, has been rallying around blood and soil nationalism, which is the idea that's, I think, quite sick and very anti-American, that, we are a nation that is just ethnically white and everybody else doesn't get to be an American. I mean, what is next for them and what is their strategy? Because I think Americans should know.
Yeah, and so you just heard that. And so she wants you to believe that the 14th Amendment, it was just meant for everybody. It was meant for foreigners. It was meant for illegals. It was meant for anybody. Long as you are able to get to U.S. soil, drop a baby, U.S. citizen, that's what they meant in this 14th Amendment in 1868. That's the way it should be treated today. Only problem with that argument is that when you look back at history just a little bit, that argument starts to fall apart and you realize that, of course, it was meant for black people, those who were enslaved, formerly enslaved, right? And so you understand this because even at that time, you're talking 1868, there was still while small, a small Spanish population. And the Treaty of Guadalupe, Hidalgo, 1848, which officially ended the Mexican-American War, officially made all Mexicans who decided to stay in America official U.S. citizens. They were classified as white in the treaty. And so if you want to argue that, okay, they faced, certain hardships with being allowed to vote and that sort of thing, you can have that conversation. But clearly, it wasn't even meant for the segment of the Spanish people who were here already after the Mexican-American War. They were already granted their citizenship. So who could it have been meant for? It all goes back to black people. But you get people like this, and they want to play the race card, and they want to find anything possible that validates their reason to be able to play that card. And so they'll say, well, obviously, Trump administration, they're hell-bent set on creating a white nation. But their argument simply falls apart when you look at the facts. And that brings us to this next clip, a CNN analyst, and he's talking about how this has actually been an issue for a while now under the Biden administration, under the Obama administration. And so check this out.
It is, in my view, perfectly valid for DOJ to say we want to step up our efforts to police criminality around what's birthright citizenship, right? So birthright citizenship itself, the fact that babies born here get citizenship, that is sacrosanct now. You can't do anything about that. But if there are criminal schemes unfolding around this, birth tourism, which does happen, then yes, DOJ can and should investigate and prosecute it. And this really goes back to the Obama administration when DOJ started to make these cases in a major way. Most of this comes from Asia and from Russia, but what the crime is people who are coming here to have babies will lie on their immigration paperwork and say, oh, we're coming for tourism, we're only coming for a limited time, when in fact they're coming for a long time. That's a crime. If you lie on your visa paperwork or immigration paperwork, it's a crime. Dozens and dozens of people have been charged and convicted. Cases that started under the Obama administration were carried through the Trump administration, the Biden administration, and now no problem with them going after them.
Yeah, and so you just heard that. And so as much as the liberal media wants you to believe that this is just all about Trump attacking immigrant groups randomly, this has been an ongoing issue through several administrations. And so actually, what this is a bipartisan issue. Only problem is, because this is the Trump administration, because this is Donald Trump, you know, that this has to be something that Democrats, that the left looks at and says how wrong it is that he's actually doing anything about this. Now, I want you to keep this in mind as we go to this next clip. It's from a few years ago, but it's a woman, 37 weeks pregnant, Nigerian woman, and she was trying to travel from the UK to the US so that way she could have her baby and have it become an American citizen and enjoy all the benefits that come with it on the taxpayer dime. Check it out.
I'm begging. No, please don't beg me. She's in an advanced state of pregnancy. It's quite common for pregnant ladies to travel overseas so that they can have the baby in whichever country to automatically get that passport. What's your final destination today?
No, today.
Today?
Today, London.
Okay.
But I'm going to the US tomorrow.
You're going to the US tomorrow, okay. When you went for your American visa, did you tell the visa officer that you were pregnant? No. You didn't? No. Okay. Is there any reason why you didn't tell the visa officer that you were pregnant?
It didn't come up.
It didn't come up. Okay, what I'm going to do is...
The woman is only 7 weeks away from giving birth, yet has decided to visit her sister in America, claiming she will return 3 weeks before her due
It says
date.
that you're fit to travel. Babies born in the UK don't automatically qualify for a British passport, but babies born in the US do automatically qualify for an American passport. So it's quite common for pregnant ladies to travel overseas so that they can have the baby in whichever country to automatically get that passport.
Sarah is suspicious of the woman's motive for travelling to the US via the UK, but she could also be in breach of airline regulations for travelling whilst pregnant.
When is she due?
5th of June,
When is her return?
16th of May. So she's got 3 weeks between her return date and her due date, which makes her 37 weeks pregnant, which is over every airline's limit.
The woman is in breach of the airline's policy, but as she has a valid US visa, Sarah must now contact the US Embassy.
Hi, it's Sarah. I'm at the airport at the moment. I just wondered if you could give a call to the American Embassy so that they can check an American visa for me. She's at the airport today and she's in an advanced state of pregnancy. So if you can just give them a call and find out if they're happy with that, and if so, then we can let her travel.
It's minutes before the flight leaves, but whether or not the pregnant woman will be on board is up to the US Embassy.
Right, okay. All right, I'll do that then. Okay, thanks very much. All right, thank you, bye-bye.
She's not good.
Okay, that was the American Embassy, and they want to speak to her today.
The flight will be leaving without the pregnant woman. Now Sarah must tell her the news.
So what I've done is I've contacted the visa man and explained your situation. What he'd like to do is, can you go back to the embassy here in Lagos, show him all this paperwork, and he'll want to speak to you. I'm sorry, I know it's frustrating, but if you can go back to him, because, Madam,
Please, I'm begging.
No, please don't beg me. Please don't beg me. No, Madam, please don't beg me.
I know a lot of people that are pregnant that do go and all that.
The pregnant woman did not make it to the USA. When she failed to turn up at the American Embassy, her visa was cancelled.
Yeah, so let's break this down. Obviously, she was looking to deceive. She wasn't able to do so, and when that ended up happening, she had to abort mission. And so let's not pretend that this hasn't been happening, that this happens, and that it will keep happening unless the government, unless they actually do their job, which we should want our government officials doing things like this, doing their job, making sure that they don't allow non-American citizens to take advantage of the taxpayer dollars by being able to get access through all of the benefits that come along with being a citizen of this country. But now let's go to the next clip, back to CNN, Abby Phillips, and the panel discussion where apparently, you know, the left, they seem to have an issue with the administration looking to actually make sure that this is not happening nearly as much. Cracking down on this issue and making sure that they keep people who are trying to exploit the loophole in the system from doing so. But let's check this out.
Are the targets of immigration because they wanted to change birthright citizenship via executive order. That seems like, I don't know, bad politics, bad optics, maybe both.
I mean, we already know that foreign adversaries are exploiting this. There's been 1.5 Chinese CCP babies who've been born
1.5
on US. 1.5 million people who've come
Okay,
via
how many
birth
of them
tourism. to have children in the U.S. over the last few decades.
I've never seen the number be that high. I don't know if you're
the New York
referring
Post
to.
has reported on it.
I don't
So
know if
that's
you're
an issue
referring
that we
to
know our foreign adversaries
people, are you talking about
exploiting.
just Chinese nationals who
Yes, who
have
come
children
here,
You realize
often
that
in
not
foreign
all of them
territories.
are here to give birth via birth
Okay,
tourism.
we can argue about the numbers.
No,
That is a number that's been reported.
I'm arguing about the numbers.
No, can I finish?
No,
I'd like to finish.
Here's
I'd like to finish.
Here's the thing. I'm arguing about. Hold on, Lydia. I'm arguing about the numbers because the numbers matter.
Yes, of course.
This is a country of hundreds of millions of people, and if you are talking about a number of people that is in the tens of thousands, that where there are already laws that address this issue, that should be part of the conversation because it's
There's still
misleading.
birth tourism schemes that are advertised all over the world.
I understand that. Back in the day and early in my career, 2015, there was a huge birth tourism crackdown.
and so this is the game that she's trying to play now, Abby Phillips. This is hilarious because she wants to try to make the argument that, well, I did a story on this and it was a crackdown. And so I understand that this was a major problem, but it was only a couple tens of thousands. And when you think about the fact that there are millions of people in this country, tens of thousands, basically what she's saying is, not so big of a deal. Not such a big deal that you have people coming and exploiting a loophole because it's only a couple 10,000 or so. And this is something common that the left likes to do when they want to try to make a point as far as what the Trump administration is doing. And like, do they really need to be doing that? It's not really affecting that many people to try and almost make it seem so insignificant in order to validate their logic of this is just the administration showing another example of their racism, their hate, their bigotry towards this group. But let's continue.
I covered that. This has been going on for a long time. But what is the scale? What is the true scale, Lydia?
I'm telling you.
If we are being truthful, the true scale is not 1.9 million.
1.5 over the last few decades.
Million Chinese people coming only for the purpose of birth tourism.
We already know that this is something that our foreign adversaries are using to exploit us. We already know that 61% of people who come and have a child here are on social welfare services. We already know that people are using it for social welfare services. So why would we want more of that?
How many people
why would we want
are you
more
talking
of that?
about, Lydia?
I already mentioned the 1.5.
You're saying that all of the 1.5 million people of
those
Chinese
children can vote here. Do
heritage
you really want people
are coming for the sole purpose of utilizing our social services?
Whose parents are CCP citizens who grow up in China to come here and vote?
There are
that is
plenty
what
of
birthright
people who have parents of
allows.
foreign citizenship who are American citizens and do, in fact, have the right to vote. They might be from China, they might be from Russia, they might be from England, they might be from anywhere in the world.
I don't think that we should.
That is not illegal.
I think it makes sense
to have
crack down on
parents from another
tourism.
country.
I don't understand why it would be controversial to crack down on birthright
It's not. It's actually. That's my point. It's not controversial.
Great. So then,
it's
what are we
illegal.
arguing about? Can we agree that's something we should crack?
And so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it right here. These people really want you to believe that one, the 14th Amendment was meant for everybody. That's their hill that they're willing to die on. Foreigners who came here, no matter from what country, no matter what time in history, it was always meant that this was for everybody on U.S. soil. You have a baby, they're a citizen. Let's ignore history and context of what was going on at that moment in time and why the 14th Amendment had to actually be created. It would not have to be created if black people already had the same rights as white people at that moment in time. I think we can all understand that reality. And so if that existed at that point in time where there were those in this country who were born in this country, having children in this country, who were loyal. Yeah, black people at that time in history, they were still loyal to this country despite all of the hardships, despite all the heartaches. They fought for the country, but they did not have the rights of a U.S. citizen. They were not considered to be so. And so they were given that right through the 14th Amendment. And so now you want to convince everybody that, well, what that really meant from the very beginning was anybody who comes to this country, it doesn't matter if either parent is a U.S. citizen, they have a baby here, they have no allegiance to this country, no ties, no reason to defend the Constitution, but they should still get all of the rights that come along with being a U.S. citizen. Make that make sense. You can't do it unless you're on the left and you just want to kind of make it up as you go along to fit your narrative. That was my rant and my thoughts in the update. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your comments down below. I appreciate when you guys chime in. Don't forget, you enjoy the content, smash that thumbs up button. That's the best way to let me know. For more, subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.